Thank you. Pornography is old news to you, but Orland Park residents oppose suppression of their right to health and safety in a public building. 7 ladies gathered 248 signatures on a petition to add filters to all computers and Wi-Fi here in the building. On November the 21st, Janet and Pat present those petitions to you while I attended the village board meeting and summarized the events and actions taken since homeschooling mom Megan Fox uncovered pornography, including child pornography, in October 2013. I offered the book Shut Up by Megan Fox and Kevin Diane to board members since the book is not available here, contrary to your allegiance to freedom of censorship. We have Illinois compiled statutes, we have our ordinance 8611, and the library patron behavior policy. All are being ignored in favor of pornography in a public building with men, women, and children present. Men don't want this either. One of the residents, one of my neighbors, one of the Orland Park residents, when I was out collecting signatures. The definition of pornography is deviant sexual behavior, now very violent and extremely prevalent because of the internet. Some health professionals are referring to it as the new heroin. Actually, it's more devastating than heroin. Heroin's only sold once. You take one of these teenagers, you can sell them 30 or 40 times a day. These boys are from 11 to 13. The girls are from 12 to 14 years of age. Sex trafficking is much more profitable. However, Hilton Hotels joined a string of businesses relinquishing huge profits from the sale of porn in 2015. And just this summer, McDonald's added filters to their Wi-Fi for a safe family experience. Certainly, Orland Park Library can do the same for our families. Pornography is a huge factor in domestic violence and fuels prostitution. I have learned more about porn than I ever wanted to know since you voted for this 3 years ago. I've told you about the National Center on Sexual Exploitation Pornography, a public health crisis, the U.S. Capitol Hill Symposium that was August 2015. It's on YouTube. Pornography and Violence, and we look at research by Mary Ann Layden, PhD. That's online too. And of course, Shut Up, the book by Megan Fox and Kevin Diane. I have a handout and 8 copies for, I've got enough for everybody here. This was one of the programs that I attended. So this is addressing both the labor trafficking and the sex trafficking. I mean, just a look at some of those little boxes and there's enough to turn your stomach. So my question is, Diane, first I'll ask you, are you still okay with that? Is it okay if maybe one of your nieces is tied up, spit at, urinated on, slapped? You voted for that twice. Dennis isn't here tonight. Nancy, are you still okay with that? 2 speakers traveled to Orland Park in the past 15 months to tell their stories of recovery from pornography, addiction. Neil was here a year ago, September, and then Matt Frag was at Our Lady of Woods back in March, I think it was. And perhaps you read the Terry Crews story earlier this year. We have the facts, we have the science, but we are not putting the plug in the jug, as with the zero tolerance for smoking. An informed community with a premier library would utilize factual information and supporting science and protect its patrons from all forms of harm, rather than limiting it to guns and smoking. It's time to put filters on all computers in the Wi-Fi in the Orland Park Public Library. I don't have what happened on 12/15, but I wanted to finish up with that little report that I told you about the foot fondler several months ago, the incident with the retired librarian. So he pleaded guilty, and his sentencing was to be December the 15th, and he was going to get 2 to 5 years. I mean, that would be another, is that the kind of publicity we want here in this library, and all the lawsuits and the snide remarks, jokes about the lawsuits and the payouts that we've already had. Thank you for your time, and Christmas blessings.
take your sign.
Jabbers going to do that.
Janet, Orland.
I submitted the petition last meeting, and I just wondered if there was any response to adding filters to all computers in the library. Do we get a response from you from that petition? We have 248 residents of Orland Park signed it, asking you to please put filters on all computers in the library. Any response?
Did you explain to them that there are filters on the children's? Did you explain that to them?
We put all, yes we did, all. We want all computers, not just
Did you
children's.
explain to them that there are filters on some of the computers, on the ones that matter?
We asked for all computers. Do you understand the word all? The 17.
Do you understand the word children's are filtered, lady?
But do you don't be rude. Who do you think you are? I'm asking you a
I'm
simple
getting
question.
tired of people coming in here
You
without
have no right.
facts.
You
And
have no right
spouting.
to get tired. This is your job. I'm asking you for what is the response to the petition to put filters on all computers?
We responded to that 2 years ago.
No, I want the response now. These are current.
Excuse me, our law committee did look at it earlier.
And what is the response?
There's not just a response that has to be issued. Clearly, you know that this is a public body. There would have to be some kind of a vote, and it was already addressed
When?
2 years ago when they.
But now this is a new petition from residents that are unhappy with your vote.
I don't believe that those residents have been properly informed.
Well, then do we need
Because
to?
I've done my own
to-
research, and when I hear people speaking, it's abundantly clear that they are unaware that the computers that children have
They know
access
that
to.
there is a
We should
possibility
be
for
able
people
to
to
expect
watch
responsible
pornography.
adults to act responsibly in public.
That's what we're
If
asking
people
you.
choose not to act responsibly in public,
What are
it
you
is on
talking
them.
about? All computers. That is a simple question. So there is no chance of somebody abusing those computers to watch pornography.
The way the computers are set up now, it would be near impossible for somebody to enjoy pornography on them. Absolutely not.
Enjoy.
Or look at it or
Would you
do
like us
anything
to
with
get
it.
more signatures? Is this what is going to take?
No, I just
to
think you should go
continue?
upstairs and look at how it's set up.
I looked.
We would prefer that you would inform yourself completely.
I looked. There is not a question. All computers should have filters.
Are you going to pay for it?
Pardon?
Do you want to pay for it?
Our residents are already paying high taxes for this library.
Filters aren't free.
I didn't say they were. You keep changing the subject. What is the response? Are you or are you not receptive to the petition? Do we need more signatures? We can continue
I don't
this.
think it's going to make a whole lot of difference how many signatures there are.
Because why?
Because we're not certain those people are being
Because we
properly
don't know
informed
what
when
you're
they're
telling
asked to sign.
Yes,
That's
they
why.
are. We
I
want
don't
to
think that you're being
prevent
responsible with
pornography.
facts and
Yes,
information.
I am being responsible, and you are being
Not from what I've heard at these
defensive.
meetings.
What? You don't even know what you're talking about.
I certainly do.
No,
I
you
listen to
don't.
you
They
every
twisted,
time you
this one
come here.
twisted my words.
I've listened to you. I'm not responsible for their behavior.
What did
I'm
you- what-
responsible for
exactly
mine.
what did you
And
hear
I
from
listened
me?
to what the two of you said
Exactly.
over and over and over.
You are really
Okay,
twisting
This
that.
is not a debate.
All right,
After I twisted your words, I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't understand what you all are saying, and we'll just have to proceed in another direction.
Now we have, Jeff, thank you. Jeff, right here.
Good evening. I was here a month ago, as you all know, and I decided to come back tonight to just say thank you to the Orland Park Library. At our company, we start our day with departmental meetings, we call them huddles. We go through what's going to happen in that day, and we adjourn with one thing that each of us would like to complete that day that would make them feel like their day was complete, or they had a sense of doing something good that day. So today my one thing was to come here and say thanks for your business and our relationship over the past 4 years. I do want to set a couple of topics, set the record, maybe straight from our perspective on a couple of topics that were discussed last week, just briefly. During the meeting it was mentioned that we were inflexible in negotiating our agreement. I think it left a clear message to some of the board. For example, I remember Trustee Kleist saying, so our WK is not willing to negotiate at all. I would just like to say that we were willing to negotiate and work hard at it, but we just didn't come to the same conclusion. Another thing that at the last meeting I showed some examples of agreements that had limitations of liability. Admittedly, they were not service agreements, they were software agreements, as Dennis pointed out. I don't know exactly what the service agreements that the library has with other organizations of that similar clause. We certainly didn't want to foil the library, having lived through supporting you all in that onerous process over the last couple of years. So at any rate, those agreements were not exactly identical to our professional services, but they were representative of the industry. This past week, Mary contacted me and notified us that you wouldn't be renewing our services, and that's fine. I'm curious if you ended up with the same exact limitation of liability. I know that there was a consideration made that wasn't quite suitable to us, but that strong change in request that Dennis, that you put forward is the thing that resulted in us saying we could accept it for double our service fees. Certainly would not want to charge double our service fees. I know that was a comment that was made, for example, between the president and the mayor. So it would only be done in a situation where there was no protection in this one manner, in an effort to suitably, raise our insurance levels. So, lastly, nothing really changed with us. We've been in business for 17 years. In terms of our mutual agreement, we're here, I think, during your entire stay. Dennis, I'm not sure exactly if you were here the 4 years ago when we started, but nothing really changed. So, that's the way things go in business sometimes, but really on behalf of my company and everybody who works there, I really do want to say thank you. We've had some good relationships we forged and good things that we've done for Mary and Mary A, Ross, and Jackie, and numerous other individuals who are quality staff who work at the library. So, happy holidays to you all. I'm happy to answer any questions. I see what you have on your agenda tonight. Do you have any questions for me? Okay. So I might ask that with respect, I'll step out of the meeting. I don't like to leave a meeting and do that in a rude fashion, but if you don't have any other questions, maybe I'll step out for a minute. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I need a motion to move into closed session to discuss the approval of closed session minutes and semi-annual review of minutes from prior closed session.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Barcelona?
Aye.
President Keeley?
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings? Aye. Trustee Kleist?
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad?
Aye.
I move that we resume our
We're back.
open session.
Jennings made the motion to resume and Barcelona seconded.
Trustee Barcelona?
Aye.
President Keeley?
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings, aye. Trustee Kleis.
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad.
Aye.
Okay. Treasurer's report for November and payment of bills for action. Do I have a motion for the approval of the November 2016 treasurer's report?
Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second.
He won. Okay, so take the roll, please.
Trustee Barcelona.
Aye.
President Healy.
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings, aye. Trustee Kleis.
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad.
Aye.
Are there any points of discussion?
I would say congratulations on being probably more than you were expected, spending less than
7.77%.
Yes.
to all of you.
We've been working on a couple of projects though, that probably weren't able to present this time, but for January, we're looking at potentially changing our banking relationship with the U.S. Bank. So we've been interviewing a number of banks and we're hoping to get recommendation for the next board meeting. In addition, we're working and interviewing with a number of payroll services and we're hoping to come up with a recommended solution for the next board meeting too.
Okay, and so the information that KTJ gave us about the overtime, so that gives you additional flexibility in implementing this, or no? Or did you want to do it for January 1?
No, we're not going to shoot for January 1, but we're going to shoot for possibly first quarter of 2017.
So that ruling made your life easier?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But you still want it?
We still want it, because, yeah, there's different aspects that they changed in the LSA rules that we want to be compliant with. And so with the new services, with different payroll vendors, we can be more. And I think we have a little bit more efficiencies too, with the new services.
Okay. So this means we're not going to use PERM for payroll anymore?
If that's what's decided or determined.
Okay.
Okay.
Are they bidding also?
They have bid, yes.
Okay, and so all payroll reports would obviously be generated by whatever company you choose.
Exactly.
Anybody else have questions on that? Okay, so we need to vote then?
Trustee Barcelona, did we just vote?
Are we paying the bills now?
Yeah.
Motion to pay the bills.
I move that we pay the bills for November 22 through December 19, 2016.
Second.
Trustee Barcelona.
Aye.
President Healy.
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings, aye. Trustee Kleis.
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad.
Aye.
Any?
Ready? Okay. A lot of this is IT as far as some of the things that we've been doing in the last month. Management team members attended a webinar on Oopsie, which is the library app that we were looking into. And we really thought that the opportunities for the patrons would be very good after listening to it. We did get a cost of $3,494 for it's 1 year's cost, and if we sign a contract with them, it would lock the same price in for 3 years. But there's also a implementation cost of $1,495. So Oopsie would cost the first year around $5,000, and then after that around $3,500.
Would it cost extra to change the name?
To Oopsie. Oopsie, thankfully, will not be the name of our app. The name of our app would be the Orland Park Public Library. Oopsie would just be the vendor, so we don't have to announce it too much, although I'm sure somewhere on that app there is a little Oopsie logo, I'm sure for their own marketing purposes. Right now, the contract is with, again, with KTJ to ensure that there is no limitation of liability clauses as such. We hope to have that by the end of the hopefully by maybe Thursday, because what we want to do is sign a contract now, because it takes a while to set up the app, and if we do it now, lock into the price, because we have a Wales discount as member of the system, it would be available in March. Nothing is done real quickly, so, but we are pursuing that with the app. I think it'll be a very good patron service. On that same note, we had talked about hotspots and patron services to circulate. And the first vendor we saw was Sprint, and we, when it was asked by Nancy of the $900, it was $900, but you had to lock into a 2-year contract, just like you sort of do with your cell phone. So it's $35 a month plus, you know, the monitoring fee, and so it added up to around $900. So when I was contacting other libraries about IT, you know, how they work, one of the libraries mentioned Mobile Beacon, and it's a nonprofit organization that works with Sprint and TechSoup. TechSoup is also an ability for nonprofits to buy IT technology, software and hardware and things like that at a cheaper rate. You're only allowed so much a year, but through Mobile Beacon and TechSoup, we could get the same things that Sprint had talked about for much cheaper. Again, that with the contract they sent us, that is also in Dennis's hands and will be decided. We really feel that this Mobile Beacon has to be moved on early next year at the latest, because the hotspots that we circulate not only to the patrons, we're going to need to be using an outreach in order to use Polaris Leap. Polaris Leap is a web-based circulation system module that we're going to be adding to with our catalog, so outreach can check out materials, as I mentioned, you know, at the nursing homes and the senior centers. The thing is, you're still going to need Wi-Fi to be able to do it, and you're not going to be able to guarantee that every place that they're at, whether it's the township or the cultural center or even a nursing home, would have it. So we would purchase one of these hotspots, to be used by outreach to ensure that they'd be able to use the Polaris Leap module. That was one thing Kelly brought up. So we're going to be having both those services real soon. Both the app and the hotspots. We're very excited. At the end of the year, we noticed, we had budgeted for new computers for the computer lab. So I purchased 15 new Dell Windows 10 Pro computers, also with 15 monitors, a 22-inch HDMI. All of our monitors in the entire building are VGA, which means that, and you're looking, did I know that before? No, I didn't. But Margaret Wozniak has been showing me a lot of things in the last couple of weeks. We have to use an adapter if we don't have an HDMI monitor. So we got 15 monitors, we have 15 computers came in. Also, we purchased 3 laptops that had HDMI capability connectors for the program rooms, and 2 Chromebooks. We are teaching a Chromebook class for our patrons. All the kids are using them. They're a little, what we purchased is a little bit higher end, but we want to be able to teach these classes or answer any questions. Patrons come to us as soon as Christmas is over. I got a new iPad, how does it work? How do you download Overdrive? How do you do Zinio? We're almost like the Genius Bar at INEC. So we have the Chromebooks, and we'll be, helping, assisting patrons with them, but first we have to learn them ourselves. So those were all purchased before the end of the year. I just did today, TechSoup, as I mentioned, was a way to get a licensing for cheaper. I did purchase license for my office 2016. We've got a lot of patrons asking, when are we going to have 2016 office? Because right now we have 2010 on our computers and 13 here and there. So we bought the licenses through TechSoup for not only the computer lab, the IT commons, all the computer commons, and probably enough for also some staff. we're only allowed to buy so many at a cheaper. We got them for $40 a piece for office, and that's why everybody goes through TechSoup. So we did that at the end of the year. I did sign with RWK a order to buy 2 Meraki switches. Downstairs is a filtered Wi-Fi for the children. They have Chromebooks. They're constantly trying to print wirelessly for their, reports. And our filter was blocking it. And mainly because the sonic wall points are kind of older. They've been around for at least 6-7 years. So we purchased Meraki switches. Meraki switches are what we have upstairs, and we had taken the old sonic wall and moved them downstairs. So we got new Meraki switches that'll be installed. They're already in the server system. We just have to physically put them in. They should have them in, if not by the end of the year. And this would allow, Meraki allows you to do a more granular setting, so we can make sure that we don't filter out the Printeron app that they're trying to work through. We've contacted TBS Solutions. It's a local Orland Park company, and that's who we purchased the printer software from to do wireless. So we'll have 2 portals to print from, with not only the adults, we'll be able to print through, and then the prints will come upstairs, and then once we get this set up, it'll go through the filtered Wi-Fi and print downstairs. So we'll have those Meraki switches all set. We've had a couple complaints from parents saying that it's been very difficult with the Chromebooks to print, so we've answered that. And we purchased one other different Meraki switch to put in the computer lab and the IT work area, so they have wireless, stronger. These walls block and the access, so we should be now set on our wireless everything, a much stronger system. So we've been doing that. Outreach just found out, I swear to God, Kelly is she's so known. She didn't even apply, but we just got another grant exhibit called Fire and Freedom. It's Food and Enslavement in Early America. It looks at the Chesapeake region and the early colonial times, where farming and how the farming and slave trade influenced the balance of power. It's from May 8th through June 17th. It kind of overlaps one of our Civil War ones, but it's just another educational exhibit that we're getting on, and we're already talking about collaborations, and one in particular I'm kind of hoping 5th grade does colonial period. I don't know if it's still 5th grade, but District 135 and the other schools highlight the colonial period. I think this might be a little late, but we might be able to do something with the schools as well. So we're very excited about that. That's, Kelly just gets an email and they just do on it, because she's so well known to do wonderful exhibits and, reports. We're still at the final stages of getting cover art for the Polaris AV, our catalog, synthetics. It's been a uphill battle to get it, but we're hoping to have the cover art in the next 2 weeks. So that contract just came in yesterday, not the contract. And the Chinese delegates, and maybe Mary can answer a little bit more, that they came again. Maybe they love us.
Does their country know they're coming?
It was a very last minute spur of the moment, but they asked to come in last Tuesday. There were 30 teachers and principals from Shanghai. And so they were very interested in seeing the different services and programs that we have between youth services and then the schools. So they were so impressed with our textbooks, and then they have their app where they would take a picture of the text and then it would translate it to Chinese for them. So it's just amazing.
Because they didn't speak English.
No, they didn't speak English. But they were wonderful, and they were very impressed with the library and very impressed with our collaboration with the schools, which they do not have. And they said they were struggling with that.
It's great, but I noticed you said you spent all day with them last time. Who invites them to Orland Park?
The 21st Century Institute was the connection to Village Yet. When we would do them once a year,
Yeah.
21st Century Institute.
Now we're on 3 and 4 times.
Well, ever since the tea ceremony, we become an avenue, so whenever they're going to visit, because they not only visit us, they go to Skokie Library and stuff. There's a group, so we had that one group that we had the last time, it was municipal, it was librarians that didn't speak English. When we have the government employees, they are bilingual, there's not a problem. These were educators this time, and they did not, but they had, as I said, an app that would translate, and she had gone to District 135 schools. So that's when all of a sudden, they must have mentioned that we had this collaboration, and that's why it was literally like a day, but it was only about less than 2 hours this time. That other time was an all day. This was just an hour, hour and a half. You know, and it stayed in the children's area. But they also offered to help us do a Chinese New Year program for the next. So even though it won't be at the new newsletter, we're going to be doing a New Year's program. So it's a share. But it was really, it's been a nice collaboration.
As long as we don't mind.
No, not at all. It was just,
We got it together.
We're
We worked
getting
out nice.
yeah, we're getting better at it. We're gonna have to change, start taking on that language. So that's all I had.
Midwest Mechanical, which is the company that services our HVAC system, completed the preventive maintenance on the system last week, and so the system is all winterized for the season, and it is in good operating condition. In late November, CertaPro painted the staff hallway, the archways on the first and second floors, the second floor columns, as well as the AV area. There was no change in the colors except for the staff hallway and the AV area. If you were back in the staff hallway, it's quite an interesting color. It's not exactly what, we had the swatches on the walls and we thought it was going to be perfect. It's a little pink, but I think staff are getting used to it. So
It depends on the time of day.
yes,
It's a little brighter in the morning by 4 or 5 o'clock. It's looking more of the beige that we had picked. Or
It's your
the
eyes.
tan.
It's your eyes.
oh, is that?
That's what it was called, the staff.
But it's different and it perked up the area too. And then you'll notice on the second floor, the AV area, we had that bright yellow. Now that's been changed to like a sage green, which is very, very pretty. So we're happy with that. CertaPro completed the job in 3 days and they did excellent work. Steve then also decided to paint the administration greeting area, which is where Aaron's desk is last week. So it makes it a much more welcoming space, and so we're going to be decorating that a little bit. And then as we enter the new year, there's going to be other areas within the library that we're hoping to paint, such as the group study rooms. Joe Ebert, who is our temporary maintenance worker, is doing a very nice job. He's been keeping busy with the light fixtures throughout the library, as well as assisting Steve on daily tasks. I spoke recently with Tiffany Nash and Dan Court, who are from Product Architects, who are doing our flooring project with us. Today we received word that the library will begin accepting sealed bids as soon as the ad appears in the newspaper. There will be a mandatory walkthrough, which will be held on Thursday, January 12th at noon, and then the bids are due Wednesday, January 25th. And as we had discussed at last month's meeting, the Narazo tile will be installed in the lobby and on the stairs, and then also on the landing. And then the rubber flooring will be installed in the youth services corridor, and at this time, we've decided not to install new flooring on the second floor. There will be a separate second bid for the installation of Narazo for the meeting room corridor right out here. We'd like to see what that will be priced out at. The new movable bookshelving units have been ordered. There will be 3 units in the adult services section where their existing new bookshelving is. And then what's really going to be nice, there'll be a lot more opportunity for basic shelving, which I think is going to attract a lot of our patrons. It'll be easier for the browsability.
Does that mean you fix the lighting issue?
No, that's our AV. So currently that project is paused at this time. So, but these new bookshelves are movable, so we're not married to the one area. Andy can move them around the place. So we'll see how well that goes. And then we'll be working on the AV next year. And then there'll be 3 movable display shelves within youth services as well. For insurance purposes, every year the library completes an inventory of materials that have been purchased and/or deleted from the building, such as our technology, the furniture, and our NASA artifacts. The inventory was completed at the end of November, and once the report is received from industrial appraisals, it will then be reported to our insurance carrier. Steve worked together with the IT staff to clean up the department's workstation area as well as the server room. The area is a lot brighter now and it's much more organized and makes the equipment much more accessible for the IT staff to get to. And this cleanup also allowed Steve to strip, clean, and wax the tile flooring in those areas. And he had to apply, I think it was 5 coats of wax since we moved in. So it looks very, very nice. Jackie and her staff created some wonderful overhead signage for adult services and youth, and the signage features a large readable font as well as the images from the mural, and Steve was able to hang them throughout both departments. So when you're on the first or second floor, everything is accurate as far as the location of some of our collections, and it's very bright and much more easy to read. And then lastly, I will be attending the Atlas Institute for Middle Managers and Assistant Directors beginning in January. The 3 half-day sessions are going to cover topics such as human resources, budgets and levies, and new advice for new managers. And the sessions will be held in the nearby library. The first session is January, and then the next 2 will be March, and then in May. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Is that list the group that writes the trustee workshop?
Yes, yeah, this is done, this is the first time they've done one of these, and it's filled up in no time. In fact, they were only going to allow 30, they allowed 40, and they closed it, and they're probably going to offer it again later. It's been popular. The big thing is, it's like, you know, close by, it's in Green Hills. It's a house getting a jump. It was very inexpensive, you know, so I think they partnered with rails.
Okay, and do we need to put that?
No, because she's not being, this is for reimbursement of the staff report. This isn't.
I'll be taking the vans, so there won't be any mileage costs. So we don't have to ask them to reimburse.
Yeah. And the payment goes straight from the library to the Atlas.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, there's none. We're getting, we do have one of those on there though.
It's a learning curve. We have to remember.
We wanted to be, for transparency, we're going to try to tell you all the times if we know in advance of people going to continue. And even if it's not a reimbursable, we just think it's a good idea to start really, you know, letting you know when staff goes to some of these little bigger, not just webinars and things that we attend, but this is probably a really good one.
And would you mind making that inventory available for review by the board, like you did PMA?
The industrial appraisal when it comes.
Yes.
Yeah, that will be printed out as soon as we can get it. We can make a copy, you know, for you. It's used in the IPLAR report, basically, and then we give it to the insurance company for renewal in March, April.
I talked to Kelly about it, and she was surprised at the value
Of the NASA.
no, not the NASA, our building.
Kelly had done
What's-
a separate appraisal
Oh, is that a different-
for the artwork that
Okay.
we have in the, and we have quite a few pieces.
We had never done any of
So should that be part of that?
I do have it a part of it.
No. Oh, it's a component of.
So I have to list everything that, like all the AV or all the monitors and the PCs that were old, we had to get those deleted. So then we take that off the past inventories and then we added all this other.
And the
stuff on.
artwork, there was some artwork already on it, like a mural painting, but they had never been appraised. So we spent, I think it was $600 in an appraiser who does a lot of the library artwork, came out and did every single piece that we had, any picture that we had, and he came out to decide, you know, and the NASA was also part of it, so that she could add it to the industrial appraiser. So there is a rider policy on our building for artwork, and that way we've never done it. So he does have a recommendation, like the Brasher painting.
That's what I was talking about.
That got appraised.
Brasher's our library.
The picture above the fireplace, it was commissioned and got a very good price to have it done. He had done a display here, and the board really liked the work, and so Kelly went to him and said, would you do our building? And he very well done. He had the appraiser was like, the piece there.
And then we have the 4 pieces in the wardrobe.
Yeah, there's 4 sketches. He said nobody has those, and he appraised those as well. Everything was looked at for the first time in 12 years. So it's all part of now the appraiser's appraisal will make sure it's part of the insurance.
And then the inventory that I did as well, Wendy ran some reports for me, so we know exactly how many books, how many items we have, materials, and the value of each of them. So,
The catalog can do that.
yeah, so she just ran a quick report for me, and it told me how many books we have and the total amount of all of our materials.
Every time a
So it was
book or
great.
AV is added, a record is created, a marked record, and a price is added, not the price paid, but the price of what the cost is. So, DVD Finding Dory, $16.99. And because everything's part of the catalog, she can run a report basing on AV video, so she can separate anything out if we want, well, how much is the videos? But for the appraisal, they needed to know how many were currently in the collection and what was the cost of it. And so the catalogs this computer is just, system is wonderful. So very helpful, and it's very accurate because Wendy's been very good about making sure that our catalogs are clean. So it's a pretty accurate account of what we in the building currently.
Do we have any building and maintenance report? Yeah, this time. Finance, no. Service and policy? Any committee reports, law?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business.
This was what was discussed at the last couple of meetings based on it, we've done the research, and we would like to recommend to not approve the RWK contract under unfinished business, and then I can do a further discussion after you make the motion. So we do the motion second.
Okay, I move that we don't approve the RWK Design and Technology Services contract from January 2017 through December 31st, 2019.
Is there a second?
Second.
And the discussion is, we talked at the last meeting, there was the contract negotiations, which have been mentioned by, both parties. And one of the questions that you had was, well, is this in a lot of people's contracts? And what Jeff has stated is quite true. This limitation of liability is cropping up on a lot of contracts, not just technology. It's in almost every contract, which is why even the Oopsie and the Beacon Mobile have to be looked at, because they're not really written in favor of the people signing them. So, but, it was asked, would other people negotiate a little bit more to, that we thought we could collaborate better. So we interviewed a couple different companies in the last month. One of the IT, Jackie was there, part of it, part of an interview at Orland, because she has some good computer skills. Oh, no, excellent computer skills. Mark Wozniak was part of the interviews. Ross came to, once he could make. And after interviewing, some companies opted not to give, quote, and others not to negotiate the contract. But the one company that is on later on, we felt had a good business model for us to work with. I can talk more about the company at the time of the agenda, so that's why I feel that we can say no to RWK and go forward with the 1 year with another company.
Does this other company, were they willing to negotiate
Up to the insurance.
Up to the insurance.
And I believe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things that RWK, if you remember, refused to do. current technologies had a limitation of liability, similar to RWK standards in their terms and conditions. They were willing to indemnify the library up to the lesser of the damages, the actual damages for the extent of their liability.
This is, so, and I can talk a little bit more about current technology. So I just wanted to know what, that we do with our due diligence on that. That's why we're recommending not to at this time.
So we need a roll call now?
Yes, so the motion is that we not. Okay. So all in favor of not doing RWK. Trustee Barcelona.
Aye.
President Healy.
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings. Aye. Trustee Price. Aye. Trustee Leafblad.
Aye.
Now we need a motion to approve the 2017 per capita grant.
I move to approve the 2017 per capita grant application for the Illinois State Library.
Second.
We just, as last meeting, we spent much of the time talking about the different requirements for it, and it was put into the application itself. Basically, we just reiterated the things we talked about, technology and programming and collaboration. The only thing I do want to mention, part of the report is to say, well, what did you spend the money that you got last year on? And we received $43,758.84. At the time of the 2016 application, we said it was to go to library materials. That's what we spent, and so I just had to state exactly how much money I got and that it was meant for library materials. That gets added with the actual application. They're no longer signed. Everything's done electronically. I will submit it tomorrow because it's due January 15th. So we're good. I just wanted to let you know.
And how much per person was that?
That one only they funded because normally we're on 70,000. It's usually around $1.10 per person, but we only got 43,000. We don't know how much the 2017. They haven't announced that yet. They usually until we hear what happens with the budget with Illinois. We always do the application before we find out if there's any money.
I move, we have a motion?
We have. So we're going to
Roll call. Trustee Barcelona.
Aye.
President Healy.
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings. Aye. Trustee Price.
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad.
Aye.
Okay, I move to adopt, are we ready for new business?
We are ready for this.
Okay, I move to adopt resolution 2016-08, which is a resolution authorizing the Secretary of the Board of Library Trustees to make certain closed session meeting minutes available for public inspection.
Second.
So discussion on this? We had it in the closed session.
Right. Yes.
So we're going to take a roll.
Trustee Barcelona.
Aye.
President Hugh.
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings. Aye. Trustee Price.
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad.
Aye.
Okay. We need a motion for resolution 2016-09.
I move to adopt resolution number 2016-09 to approve the destruction of certain closed session meeting recordings of the Board of Library Trustees of the Village of Orland Park.
Second.
Okay, so discussion? We had in the closed session.
Trustee Barcelona.
Aye.
President Healy.
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings. Aye. Trustee Price.
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad.
Aye.
Okay. Third item is PMA, Financial Network, I imagine that's you.
Yes, during this past year, SEC has made some different changes with some of their rules. One of the areas that the SEC and some of the other investment governing bodies are looking at is trying to make things more fiduciary basis between dealers and the public, or dealers and government bodies. So in doing so, there was some changes made. Rule G42 was implemented, which basically put more fiduciary responsibility to dealer organizations. So in order to kind of cement this with us, they had to provide new agreements for all of their customers. And so these agreements, these terms and conditions are the kind of new terms of their relationship with us. And so we're asking the board to provide approval for us to move forward and sign two agreements with PMA.
Okay, so we don't have a motion yet, so we'll,
So I move to approve the PMA Financial Network, Inc. and/or PMA Securities, Inc. terms and conditions agreement and authorize the library director to execute the agreement.
is there a second?
Second.
I'd just like to add that contract would also go
That's
to
a main question.
to Dennis. Again, all these contracts are having, and so there's some language that we felt would have been more beneficial to the people signing it, us. And so there was a discussion between PMAs and us, and they were satisfied.
Any of the changes that we
We're doing that, we're being very vigilant on these contracts now.
Okay, trustee Barcelona.
Aye.
President Healy.
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings, aye. Trustee Kleis.
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad.
Aye.
Now we need a motion regarding the cash flow investment.
I move to approve the PMA 2017 investment plan and cash flow projection.
Second.
And there's discussion.
Well, I know that Joanna's seen it,
Yes, this afternoon, I know Joanna was in to take a look at the investment plan itself. We work very closely with PMA to develop an investment plan using our kind of, as beginning balance of what our inventory of investments are. We also take into consideration the budget, 2017 budget, and what the cash sources and uses are, so we can appropriately figure out when we're going to have excess cash that can be invested and for how long. So based on that, they make recommendations, throughout the year. Okay, we think you're going to have like 100,000 to be invested on this date. We think you should invest for 3 months, 6 months, whatever, recommendation they have. I know Mary and I both reviewed in addition, and we feel comfortable with the investment plan.
And even just payroll. They factor that.
Yeah, they factor in payroll and payables, and where you're beginning cash balances and project them throughout the year, kind of how your cash balance is going to change to make sure you're not going to have any shortfall. One of the things they like to make sure is that we do have what's called laddered investments. So we try to maintain about $2 million balance of investments so that we will always, never have really a total shortfall. We will always have a base of investments to fall back.
because it's been recommended that municipality have, at least the libraries, that we have access to at least 6 months worth of our budget. And PMA knows that, which is why they make sure that these CDs are invested, so that, let's say, there's not a tax distribution, or like in the past, although in the last couple of years they've been very good, but there are been past years where we've had to wait for tax distribution. So we ensure that this is kind of written into it. We've also did a couple of investments 2 years out to take advantage of a better interest rate, and those are still out there. So we're trying to do our best to make the most money that we can on our investments.
But to reiterate, there's only so many places they can invest. It's by statute, CDs, and it's CDs, but there's even pre-approved places.
PMA does, that's why we have it. PMA does the research of not only getting the best interest, but making sure all these banks that they're investing throughout the United States have ratings that are high enough to make sure we're safe and collateralized. So that's their job to do that, and I think they've done an excellent job.
They also track the CDs to make sure that we're not over the FDIC limit. So even though we have different funds, we make sure that even between the funds, we don't have any overlap in that, or don't have any exposure there either.
So should we take a look?
Trustee Barcelona?
Aye.
President Healy?
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings? Aye. Trustee Kleis?
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad?
Aye.
Okay. The next item is the new business is the current technology contract. Get a motion?
I'll move to approve the current technology contract for technology services for 500 hours of service in the amount of $58,500 and authorize the library director to execute the
the agreement. And I'll second that.
Just to mention the discussion, Current Technology is a company that many libraries that of our size and of directors I've known for 20 years have been using for many years. They've been around for almost 20 years, similar to RWK as far as experience. They're proficient in routers, switches, firewalls, network security, which is what we needed, servers, desktops. They're a Microsoft environment, which is what we moved into. Antiviruses, their ability to work with us to do data backup, which is very important because we always have that service with our current, and they work with both wired and wireless networks. What we were impressed about with our discussion is that their clients work well with the IT staff. I had a meeting, I've been working very closely. This, good comes out of bad. I've had a really good opportunity for the last 6 months to understand. I'll never have the level of computer knowledge of Jackie or my other IT staff, but I'm learning to ask better questions. And so I've talked with the IT staff. I've had several meetings over the fall, and I really feel that they wish to work better with a company, that they would get more integration and collaboration. There's some really good skill sets of our IT2s especially. In fact, the reason why Steve was able to clean out is they took care of cleaning that entire, and it wasn't cleaning as in, it was determining what was not, that needed to be recycled, what was to be saved, and they, got to do it, and it was a project they jumped into, and I saw for the first time that they were really feeling an ownership to that department, which I haven't seen in a long time. And the help desk tickets have been working with Mark, so I thought with this company, Current Technology, rather than have somebody on all the time, we would just try, we have staff who can troubleshoot the smallest things and maybe even start newer projects. Like they're able to put up the Meraki switches, and so what I would like to see is purchasing 500 hours for this amount. It's about $117 an hour, and see, that gave us the best price, because technology hours can range up to about $130 an hour, but buying that lot, and it'll be used over the year. It might not be enough, depending upon what projects, when Polaris leave or other projects that may come down the pipe, but if we don't use all of them, which we should have a good utilization of most of them, it allows us to roll over into 2018. Not a lot, but by that time, so the contract that we sign gives us the ability to do that. And once the hours are gone, then, the contract ends. But what these companies, what the libraries do is they just purchase more hours. But I have budgeted a larger amount when we were going to go with a different scenario. And so this way we'll see how it goes, and if we, we'll see how the IT2s work, and I think it's a really good chance to get them more continuing ed, more on-the-job training, and get their input into things.
So we're not going to have what RUK had for us, which was basically in-house person.
Right.
That they trained and paid them.
Right, and it's been a little more sporadic this last couple of weeks with the holidays and vacation, and I found that they had to pick up a lot of it. Like Friday, there was nobody from RWK, and Mark had no problem picking up doing things. So I'm seeing just a lot more maturity, a lot more enthusiasm in the group, and I'm going to continue monitoring. I'm working closely. That's why I'm not ready to I'm going to work together with them, and Mary's going to help me a little bit more on the scheduling side, but they were the ones helping me with the computers and the tech suite, and it's been really nice. And so I'm going to give this a try. I think that, we're safe, I have a lot of faith in current technology as far as they work with ILSs, they work with SWAN libraries, Rails libraries, independent ILSs, so they understand, they work with the software PC Reservation, which is the scheduling software that we have on. They work with Deep Freeze, which is the software that erases everything after a person uses it. They work with filters and whatnot, so I have, a lot of faith that we'll be able to move forward. I'll be on it. So I'd like to see it, give it a try.
Should we take a roll call?
Trustee Barcelona?
Aye.
President Healy?
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings? Aye. Trustee Kleis?
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad?
Aye.
Okay, we need to have approval of registration and travel expenses for head of technology. Andy?
I move to approve the registration and travel expenses for Head of Technical Services, Wendy G. I'm sorry, I couldn't pronounce. Z, right? Okay. To attend the Innovative Polaris User Group Conference in Baltimore, Maryland, from April 2nd through the 5th, 2017, in the amount of $1,600.
Second.
Okay, this is our first time using the resolution that you passed last month. And so I had, because she has to register for it now, I had her do the registration fee, the airfare, the hotel, any meals that she uses. This is, all this is kind of an approximation. She will be paying probably for the hotel and parking at the airport, but the library would be doing the registration and probably the airfare, but we wanted to include everything, so we would not be reimbursing her up to $1,600. It'd only be a portion of it that she uses, but I wanted you to know that this is one of the big conferences. Last year, Robin and Jason went. It's necessary to go to the Innovative User Group. This is where all the new software and new things that are happening with our catalog, and we can ask, you're there with the company, you can ask a lot of questions. Howard is our administrator. He's not able to attend, but he will be doing a lot of on the internet with, getting information from this conference. So Wendy will be our ears on the floor, and then Howard will do it. So we did as much as we could with mileage and meals, and this is the approximation we came at. Is this how we should do it? This is a little difficult. Is that?
Well, it's pre-approval of the expected expenses. As long as she stays within the requirements of the resolution that the board passed last week, doesn't need to come back to the board. If she exceeds in any one of the categories, the price that's set forth for the meals is per diem. If she doesn't, then it doesn't have to come to the board. If she does, it has to come back to the board again.
We're going to be having more of these each month. There's going to be some of these on. I have a Youth Services Institute conference coming up, so we'll be doing this on each. I'm not quite sure how this all pans out.
Okay, you talked about registration though, and I thought those were like $1,000.
Her registration is $325.
Maybe it was Robin and
Jenny went to, and that might have been where it was at. She innovated moves, like this time we were in Maryland before they were out in Maryland. Yeah, everything. Yeah, so this is the registration. She had the earmarks and, did the midway to, airport, and so 3 nights, the best she could do, because until she registers, she can't get a room. That's why we have to do it now, and she's not, as soon as she can get it, then she'll go for the most inexpensive she can find available in the conference hotel. I told her, she's good, she doesn't mind saving.
so we roll.
Trustee Barcelona?
Aye.
President Healy?
Aye.
Treasurer Jennings? Aye. Trustee Claus?
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad?
Aye. Okay, do we have any announcements?
Merry Christmas all.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Roll call?
Trustee Barcelona?
Aye.
President Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Jennings? Aye. Trustee Claus?
Aye.
Trustee Leafblad?
Aye. 8:23, motion.
Forget better at least.
You know, the motions, things, more.
No.